Good morning, guys. Good afternoon, good evening. Again,
Good
depending
morning.
where you're tuning in from. Good morning, Jen. How are you doing?
Good, you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing
Yeah, thank you
well.
so much for your help and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It's been a double-sided take, meaning that as I continue to help you guys, I'm going back and I'm copy trading myself, and I'm learning a lot more than I would be if I didn't have the opportunity to talk to you guys and try to be taking away some lessons to take to you guys. So it's been great for me as well.
Yeah, I just post some message on the thread, on the voice thread. I'm just wondering if you can explain, because what happened is I follow some of the trader, and it seems like they are doing like pump.fun stuff, or
Yeah,
they did a very short trade, like a minute or two.
yeah, yeah.
So
For,
it end up like very difficult to track. Is there a way that you can basically making beta filter, or should I just dump the wallet?
Yeah, so I actually saw your message, and
Yeah,
I'm really happy when you guys take the time to give me some insight of what you guys want to talk about. Like, what's important for you? What's going on right now in your copy trading that you either want to learn more about, or you want to find strategies to stay away from, or stuff like that. So uh, don't ever think you're bothering me when you guys are posting things that you want to talk about on the voice calls. It's actually like very helpful for me. I could hop on here and talk about something, each and every day, because there's always something to talk about. Either something I learned from what I've been doing over the last couple of days, or something I feel like we should touch on a little bit more. We always have time to go through fresh wallets and stuff like that, right? Not only fresh wallets, just the new wallets that have came to profitable wallets, but that might not be the best use of our time all the time, right? The best use of our time, especially with the people who show up here, are you guys getting the information that you need to be successful. So, without going for too much deeper into that, I hope you guys have a clear understanding of if you guys have questions and stuff. This is why we got the voice calls thread made up. So you guys can drop your questions, and then when we hop on voice chats, your questions are going to be answered. You don't have to write them down or anything. You can just type them here, and I'm going to view them and go over them. Okay. So I got up, I looked into the chat, saw you guys had a little bit of dialogue here, saw that it was mostly over pump.fun. So I wanted to make sure I was correct in my answers before coming here so I can give you guys accurate information that's going to help you the most. I also have experiences too when I have traders enter pump.fun. My last couple experiences have been quite poor, to be honest. So the last couple experience that I had, my traders did pretty good in their entry to pump.fun, and when they exited, when it hit radium, they would do like a 10x or so. But on both of those trades I had with my traders recently who entered pump.fun, it just happened to bond at the exact same time. So my trader who entered pump.fun either had a buy after him that ended up hitting, making it hit bonding, or my trader themselves was the buy that made it hit bonding. So what ended up happening with that is it was a notification that my transaction failed. When your transaction fails, I want to encourage you guys to always do this. If you have the message where you can view it on Explorer, it's going to tell you exactly why it failed for the most part. But for this instance with pump.fun, when it fails because it hit bonding, it just says fail. It doesn't give you any more insight to it. But again, I had my friend look into it. He's pretty quick with talking to these people on Trojan because he has them on DM. So he looked into it and we figured out like, okay, the reason it failed is because it hit bonding as soon as we entered it. Okay, so that's one initial instance that happened to me a couple times. That is like, okay, I should have been profitable on that trade, but it didn't work out because it hit bonding as soon as I entered pump fund. Now, as far as your question goes, P-Chan, so you were talking about, is there a way to filter out pump fund? Is there a way that we can stay away from it? So I did take it to the Trojan team. A majority of us are using Trojan, so I took it to their team to see if there's any way. And as far as it goes now, there's no way to exclude pump fund trades. Their best recommendation is if you do not want to be in pump fund trades, just avoid completely traders that enter pump fund. And although that's a decent enough answer, I mean, it makes sense if that's what we have available to us right now. That's what we're going to do. Likely avoid traders that trade pump fund, but it's not as good as having a permanent solution. Being that we could trade traders right now who don't trade pump fund at all, and we've been tracking them for the last 2 months, and they haven't traded pump fund once. But they can start trading pump fund in an hour. They can start trading pump fund tomorrow. So as much as we can try to avoid pump fund altogether until there is an update, and it's going to have to be an update on the bot side. Like, it's going to have to be on Trojan bot, Master bot, whatever bots we're using. There's going to have to be an update there that if a token follows into a pump fund token, it just won't follow. And it will be kind of something just like the most recent update that Trojan did. If someone follows into a low liquidity coin or a low market cap coin or a market cap that's too high, it just won't follow. So it'll have to be similar to that, but for pump fund tokens. The reason that I'm saying this is because whereas the bots we use for trading directly impact how we enter our trades, the bot we use for Zelfy Guru is not directly impacting how we enter our trades. It's giving us ourselves information on how we can make a decision if we want to trade a trader or not. We can see if they're trading pump fund. We can see if they have good win rates. We can see if they have a good ROI. We can see if they're having minimal flags. We can see all this stuff, but that will never make a decision for us to not enter pump fund. It will only give us the knowledge that the trader I'm tracking right now does do pump fund sometimes, so I might want to stay away from it. So as far as that goes, I hope that was a pretty encompassing answer to, at this point in time, there is no way to completely avoid it. If you see your trader based on Zelfy Guru, you see they're entering pump fund tokens, and you've had bad experiences with that and stuff, and they're doing it quite often, then you might not want to trade it. And it might be something that you consider a flag, right? When a trader enters pump fund on Zelfy Guru, and we see that there, it doesn't come up as a flag. But that doesn't mean that it may not be a flag for us, right? So if we see in the last 10 trades that, and we have history of the last 10 trades, there's 10 of them for us to see, and we saw he entered a pump fund trade once. We might look at that and be like, that's a little bit of a flag, but it happened one time. So, I can work with this guy because he's got good stats everywhere else, and, he's not entering pump fund trades too often. That's 90% of the time, based on the last 10 trades, he's not entering pump fund trades. So based on that, you have to be able to kind of say when something is a red flag to you or a flag to you, even if it isn't necessarily showing on Zelfy Guru. And I think the reason it doesn't show on Zelfy Guru as being a flag, because there are people who are very profitable on pump fund, and there is money to be made there. So it just really doesn't make sense to show it as a flag, but that doesn't mean that it can't be something that you stay away from yourself. In terms of, let's say in another instance, you see there's 10 trades that we see, in 4 of those trades you saw they entered pump fun. You know that usually when you enter pump fun, you don't end up getting, the trade that you want. You end up losing money, or you're just not making money. You don't want to bother with it. You see that number and you know that that's like a higher percentage flag to you. So you might want to avoid it completely there.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so more talk on pump fun while we're at it is I spoke about trading on it a little bit myself. There's a point in time I'm like, okay, everybody's trading pump fun. I'm hearing about it everywhere. Some tokens are doing okay and stuff, so I'm gonna start trading it. I did, and it's such a poor trading experience. I don't know if any of you have attempted to trade on pump fun, but devs can buy up so much of the supply for so cheap right away. A lot of times not making websites, not making pretty much anything, but then they get buys coming in. A lot of times the buys aren't even real buys. They're getting bought buys coming in. So you look at the chart and it shows every time a buy comes through, it shows an arrow going up. Every time a sell comes through, it shows an arrow go down. So you'll see an arrow going up, an arrow going up, an arrow going up, multiple times. Within a couple of seconds, you'll see arrows going up. So it kind of gives you like that FOMO, like thinking like, oh, people are putting money into this chart, it's pumping, it's going up and stuff. And then you go look at it and it's like 0.0001 Solana buys that are being repeated by bots to kind of get people to FOMO in. Once you end up coming in with your 0.5 SOL, your 1 SOL, a lot of times these developers like aren't trying to take it too far. They're just trying to get it pumped up enough to where they can make some money. But a lot of times, as soon as you are ready to enter in, they're ready to exit. So pump fun, I would say, use with caution. I know people that have made money from it, but I know a lot more people that have lost from using it. And in terms of the security breach that I'm sure you guys heard of, people were making pump fun, RIP pump fun coins and stuff like that. They had a security breach, and if I'm not mistaken, it was around the bonding curve that they had, and there was a breach to that actual bonding curve where people were taking money from the bonding curve. And if you had a bunch of money in it, say you put a SOL, a couple SOL, 3 SOL into that bonding curve, and that bonding curve is depleted because of that breach, people were losing money. So they were working with, at that time they stated they were working with authorities. So working with some type of government authority to try to solve the issue, because I'm sure the authorities thought it might have been something insider, it was criminal, or either way, it's just unsafe. But I really thought that could be enough to close off pump fund, because it already was something that has been just known for being even more sketchy than the main markets. So I was thinking something like that would be enough to get people to be like, you know what, let's stay with the regular markets where people are adding in liquidity, devs are burning and stuff like that, because there's already enough rugs going on, and pump fun is just like, I don't know. I think it's like the bottom level of trading. I don't think too much great stuff comes out of there. And then we can speak about the anomalies like Sharkcat and, a few other tokens that have came out there and done well. But usually those were after the developers had sold anyways. And then the community ended up taking that over. But if you guys have any questions, we can go on and talk about it a little bit more. But if not, I think that is all I really want to say about pump fun, is just, use caution with it. If your traders are trading it and they're trading it well, say they're getting in at like, 5K market cap when it first starts, they're getting insider information and they're carrying it to either selling it right before bonding, or they're even carrying it into the Radium transfer, and they're selling right on Radium and they're making you good money. I'm going to say still make money that way, as long as there's money to be made, right? But if you're getting, you're getting negative results on it time after time again, then I would suggest obviously to, just move your strategy from that. You could come back to it later at another point in time, but if it's not serving you now, move your strategy away from that. Okay, perfect. So it doesn't seem like anyone has any further takes on that. We're going to start looking at tokens soon, but there is another point that I want to take on, because like I say to you guys, I always speak to you about best practices, and best practices are traditionally the thing I would suggest doing if you want to make the most out of your copy trading, if you want to be the safest copy trading, if you want to be the most insightful copy trading. But it's like best practices, it's like the same as riding a bike. You know that if you were to hop on a bicycle right now, I know a lot of you wouldn't, grab for a helmet, but you know how beneficial a helmet is. You know how good of a best practice putting on a helmet is. But a lot of times, we would just hop on that bike, and it doesn't matter where we're riding, unless we're probably going on a very far bicycle ride, or we're going, taking our bicycles up into the mountains or whatever, that we would put on a helmet. But if we're going down the street or we're just riding around our area, we might not put on a helmet. So the reason I'm bringing up that example is because even though I state these best practices, there's a lot of times I skip out on them. And it's like skipping out on that helmet. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you skip out on wearing a helmet until you fall and hit your head. Then it really matters that you didn't follow the best practice, because you're getting hurt from not following it then. So I want to speak on a situation that I got through over the long weekend. So obviously you guys heard from me a lot on the long weekend. We had voice calls every day, things. For me, it was a long weekend anyway. But, I had a lot of stuff to do with family. I had a lot of plans. So obviously I'm still spending as much time as I would on my voice calls and preparing for them and stuff. And my traders are going off. My traders are doing very well. Like, it was a very good overall weekend. So I was like, okay, I can kind of relax. I can kind of take time and spend time with my family. So I dropped some of my best practices because, it was family time and it was a long weekend. Why not just be a little bit lazier on my best practices? And it comes into yesterday being Tuesday, right? Let me just make sure that's correct. I'm pretty sure yesterday was Tuesday. I got my days mixed up because of the long weekend. Yeah, so yesterday was Tuesday. So yesterday, now it's not the long weekend. It's back to work. It's back to grind time. But we still, between myself, I'm just going to blame myself. I'm not going to blame my partner. But, we work together. Just know that. But as far as yesterday goes, it's Tuesday, it's like, it's back to work time. Monday, it was still kind of like the weekend because it was a long holiday. But by Tuesdays comes, my best practice had fallen short because I had a lot of trades go off between Monday when I went to sleep and Tuesday when I woke up. And then I had a lot of trades go off where I'm down in soul now. And that's okay. That's going to happen to us. It's going to happen to all of us, right? We're going to be down in soul sometimes from when we went to bed until when we woke up. But once you get down in soul, you want to start thinking, okay, like my traders right now, it seems like they've just been taking quite a bit of losses because I'm quite down in soul, like a decent bit that I'm really noticing it, and that the wins they're making aren't making up for it. My other guys' wins they're making, they aren't making up for this guy's losses. So now it's time to reanalyze the traders that we have, right? So then I start doing that because at that point in time, I'm like, okay, something seems off here. And I go reanalyze my traders, and all my traders are slipping huge, like huge. And I talk to you guys about making sure when you put your traders in, you kind of have a good idea of like what they were at, so that when you go look at them later, you can make sure they're maintaining that. Because when you put them in, it was a good idea to put them in. the moment they start slipping by 20%, that's a whole different trader than the trader that you put in. So I'll give you an example that generally my traders that I put in are closer to like 70%, maybe 68%, at the low point win rate, but usually around closer to 75% or so. And that's what I'm comfortable having, because I know with those statistics and the ROI they have, it's usually falling around 100 or so. I know that in the long run, it's going to work out and it's going to be profitable. And it does when my traders are in those parameters. But over the weekend, over the course of those 4 days, I didn't analyze them like I should be doing. And it took me to the point where I had to wait to see, okay, I'm trading now and I'm trading at a loss. I'm waking up at a loss. Okay, I need to figure out what's going on. So my traders had slipped to, one of them was at like 55%. And for me, that's like not much better odds than flipping a coin, right? Flipping a coin has their tails is 50%, right? The probability of that. When you get into around 55%, you're getting just to as close as flipping a coin. And another 2 traders dropped it around to 58%. And that is, again, from 75%. So in terms of how that looks for me now, that's just not something that works for my strategy. So it wasn't like, okay, how much of a chance do I give these guys to see if they can come back? It's more easier for me to turn them off, because I know, like right now with their probabilities in the statistics, they don't make sense for me. So I don't really want to be like, yeah, but they've done very well in the past. I'm like, yeah, but past performance doesn't equal future performance. So I turned all these guys off. So I'm removing 3 people from the roster of about 8 people I have. So I still have some good people on, but I had 3 people who were just like, draining me more than I should have been drained. And the reason I bring up this story, the reason I go into detail of it, because like I said, with best practices, of course, you don't have to wear a helmet every time you ride a bike. And a lot of times you're going to be fine. Just like you don't have to wear a seat belt every time you hop in your car. And most of the times you're going to be fine. But it's for the times that a crash happens that you really wish you put that helmet on, or you wish you put the seat belt on. And as far as I see it with this, it's like, okay, I'm checking my traders every day now. And I can't make an exception on that, because if I had caught these guys slipping earlier, I would have limited my losses. And we talk a lot about that, especially recently. I've been telling you guys, well, in my opinion, the best way to make money is to limit your losses. Because when you're limiting your losses, you're not taking big losses. You're not worried about climbing out of a hole to first fill those losses and then start making gains. Once you're limiting losses, it's like, you only have a 0.1 loss. Okay, so you only need a 0.1 to get right back on track, and then you can start making gains again. So always so important to limit your losses. I told you I'm going to start checking my traders every single day and seeing how they fell or how they gained, and make decisions about, am I going to keep this trader on? Should I turn this trader off for now and just track it? So on and so forth. But that's something that I've already learned before, but it's like the same thing as me making the reference for like wearing a helmet. We know to wear a helmet when we were young. When we learned how to ride a bike, our parents put a helmet on us because they wanted us to be protected, especially because, we were learning and they didn't want to see us, go into the hospital. And then as far as going into this point goes, when we're talking about best practices, yeah, you don't have to follow every single one of them. And I don't follow every single one of them, but there's a lot of practices that I talk about. And the more I talk about them, I'm like, all right, I need to implement this best practice in a better way. Did we have any questions on anything I stated there? I said quite a bit, and I think it is quite an important topic for you guys to drill into yourself. How often are you guys analyzing the traders that you put in?
Hey, Amiri, how's it going? Oh, hey. So I actually, I'm going to be doing a little bit more analysis. I just didn't get around to it. So first, what I was doing was I just downloaded the Excels, and then maybe tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to make a Python script to read those, and then do something with the Selenium that I mentioned earlier. Just to and even do some data analysis. So I haven't really been doing much. I'm just listening to learning what I can, taking a little losses here and there, but it's okay. Thank you. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm happy you're going forward to do some more analysis, and that's what we do every day when we're using Zelfi Guru and we're putting a wallet we might have found. That's exactly what we're doing. We're doing some data analysis, right? As we're looking through the data that's there, as we're pulling up the chart and getting an idea of how they trade. That's all data analysts. In the specific instance that I was just talking about, I'm talking about analyzing your traders that you currently put on, the traders that are making you money and the traders that are losing you money. So say you have 4 or 5 on the list. I'm saying that I would recommend going forward, especially now that I've had, this isn't the first time that this has happened to me. It's happened to me one other time before where I really just wasn't on top of it and let it slip, because usually I do it every 2 or 3 days and that works out fine. But things had changed so quickly because I checked these guys right before the long weekend. But what I'm encouraging you guys to do, if you have 5 guys to check, it will take you less than 2 or 3 minutes to go to your copy traders, go into SolScan, get their address, pop it into the Zelfi Guru bot, and then go get your next one. Again, repeat and do the same thing. Now you got all 5 in there. You can see how their statistics are faring off based to how it was when you put them on. And I do want to implore you guys to continue to do this. If you're not doing it every day, at least do it every other day. Is there any points that someone wants to make on anything that I said? I'm really curious about you guys. Jenya, I know you usually are okay with talking. I don't know if you can talk right now, but I'm interested to see how often are you analyzing the wallets that you put on and running them through Zelfi Guru again to see how they're standing?
So I actually do it every day, or try to do it every day. So far, I'm still very much in the learning phase because I have more loss than profits, even though I think I'm picking good traders. So I know there's a bit more learning to do, but I do try to check them every day because as you know, you pick a trader that you think makes sense and they trade fairly often, but then when you put them on, all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 straight losses, and you start to wonder is it just do I have to consider a longer time frame to get the ROI to match what they have, or do I turn them off and things like that. I know that wasn't the question, but to answer your question, yes, I do try to check daily.
No, I appreciate you going into it like that. I'm glad you're checking daily again. That's what I'm recommending to all of you to do now. I think it's really going to help you guys out. Plus, it just helps you look at more data, right? I encourage you guys to go through the potential profitable wallets there, because every time you go through them, you're just looking at more data. And the more you start looking at these, the more you're going to start seeing things that you didn't see before, the easier you're going to pick things up. And as far as your point goes right now, if you're trading wallets that you still feel are good and maybe they need a longer time frame to prove themselves, well, we can see based on the numbers that as long as the other things match up, we should be good, right? So let me go deeper into that so I can paint a picture. If we see that the ROI is good, it's quite high, it's 100%, 120%, something like that, or even higher in instances. And then we can also see their win rate is quite high. It's around 70%, 75%. We know that if we apply just a statistical math equation to that, and we run it over the course of 10 trades, that we should be profitable after those 10 trades. But we also know that there is some things that can manipulate these. One thing we know that manipulates these numbers are flags, but we know that when we look at flags, we kind of have to count that into our strategy and how we actually view our trader. So if our trader had like an 80% win rate, but there's quite a bit of flags, we know that that win rate is actually a little bit lower due to their flags, and we just have to be mindful of that. Now, the other part that is going to skew this completely is, how is the trader trading? Is the entries that they're taking, are we able to get those entries? Are we able to get near those entries? And also, when they take their exits, are they scaling out? Are they selling all at once? And when they are selling all at once, are they selling a big amount all at once, where we're going to be able to sell a lower market cap coin at the end of their 6 or 8 SOL sell that may take our 150% gain that we were expecting to get, or a 200% gain, and it really drops it to something that's looking like a 60 or 80% gain, right? So that kind of throws off those ROI numbers. It throws off, it doesn't necessarily throw off the win rate numbers, because we still took a win, but it's still something to be mindful of. And I'm going to take this time to also speak about an instance that I saw, and it may have been you, Jenya, but it may have been someone else, but I thought it was you. But if it's not you, whatever, it was someone, and I saw this in the flood room. So they posted both their Trojan trade, and their Trojan trade where it shows in percentages of how much they made. But then they also posted their buy and sell amounts. And the trade worked out to be something that was like closer to 150% or something like that. And then their buy and sell amounts, didn't even work out to be a 2x. It was almost a 2x, but it wasn't a 2x. So we can see that. But in that instance there that I'm looking at, I know that Trojan's telling them they got around 150%, but I see there, and they didn't even get 100%, because 100% would be a 2x, and they got under a 2x. So why does this happen? Because I didn't take time to message whoever posted that. I didn't take time to comment on it. I just saw that, and I'm like, I can talk about this at some point in voice chat, and I can talk about it more clearly. And the reason that happens is because a lot of time Trojan will automatically make that scorecard for the profits that you make when you trigger your sell. And because you triggered your sell, you may have been at 150% once that sell was triggered. But if your gas is just taking, maybe a couple seconds to go through, there could have been, a 2 SOL sell, right as you click sell. And, if your sell went through quicker, you would have actually got that whole 150% that it stated. But because that 2 SOL sell, might have went quicker off and went with quicker gas, or it just went off quicker for whatever reason, you ended up selling after that 2 SOL sell. So that's why instead of getting your 150% profits, you end up with something like an 80% profit. So I just want to make that clear to everyone who's having those encounters where their Trojan scorecards not accurate in terms of how much money they actually made. It's because there can be just instances of just slower exit times, and sometimes it works out the other way too. You make more money than the scorecard suggests.
Amiri, thank you for that. That was me that posted it. So, what's the takeaway from here is to for if we want to keep up with the pace of the exit, which is increasing the gas amount.
Yeah. Depending what your gas is at, can I ask what your gas is at?
Yeah, it's 0.0055.
0.
Medium or something, or fast. I don't know.
0.0055.
55. Yes.
Yeah. in this particular instance, I do think increasing your gas could have helped you by getting out that trade when that trade initially clocked, when it showed on the card, if you had higher gas. Because although that is decent enough gas to get out in a decent amount of time, you got to think that I would say most Trojan users are using the fast to get out, which is a little bit higher than what you're using by about 20 somewhat percent. They're using 0.0075 because that's what Trojan declares fast. Now, most traders who are trying to trade faster than the average Trojan trader are putting their gases to like 0.01. And then like in my instance, I told you before, I gassed it all the way to 0.025, which I wouldn't really recommend to anyone because I don't use that gas anymore. And I don't know if there will be a time I use it again, if it makes sense to use it. But right now I use like 0.015. And for a lot of people, that's not necessary. And for a lot of people, that would just be too high of gas to like make sense of their profits, right? So that has to be an indication too. But if you could bump your gas up from 0.055 and it made sense to bump it up to something like 0.0075, so you were just a bit more competitive with the other Trojan traders and other people who are using similar bots, that may be something that's like incredibly helpful for you, and it won't cost you that much more, relatively speaking.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So again, as a best practice, we're going to go into take a look at the wallets. And now we've been doing this every single day for the last while now. And I'm glad we are doing it because it's even giving me a better sense of these wallets. And I look at these wallets every day, one way or another, right? If I'm going to, upload a bunch of wallets that I found and I'm running it through the Zelphi Guru bot, like I'm looking at wallets every day, so I have a pretty good idea. But going through the profitable wallets and all these different kind of wallets we see here between the snipers, scalpers, alphas, and fresh wallets, we're really getting an idea of a bunch of different traders and how they're trading, how much money they're trading. So I've been enjoying going through, looking at these wallets, and I hope you guys have too. I hope it's something that you guys find is beneficial for you as we go through wallets together, as we open up trades together and all that. So we're going to spend some time doing that again today. I'm just setting that up now. So the screen, if there's any problems with the screen or audio at any time, you guys just let me know, because I don't always see what you guys are seeing. But right now you should be able to see my screen, but I'm going to make it larger for all of us. Now you should be able to see it in full, quite a bit larger. You guys are able to see this okay?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, go ahead.
Mary, so I was trying to watch the video live from the web. I wasn't able to. It seems like I could only do it from the mobile. And I wanted to ask something about sniping. I don't know if it's the right time for it now.
Go for it, man. I'm not in. So I've spent a lot of time sniping in the past, but I haven't spent a lot of time sniping in the present. But go for it. I'll try to answer your question as best as I can.
Okay, so yesterday and today, this morning, let's say I tried to have a couple of snipes from the Defi sniper bot or something, Defi Soul bot, but it seems like it didn't go through. I put the initial amount at 0.01, nothing triggered. Then I changed to 2 or 3 contracts to 0.1, and it still didn't execute. So I was trying to figure out what the issue was. Why didn't it not snipe?
What do you have your slippage at?
So the slippage is at 40%.
So as far as I'm concerned, just by talking to people who do snipe and seeing them post some stuff in the flood room, when you're sniping with these types of bots, you need like quite high percentage. And I don't know if there's another person who has used the sniper here, but from the people that I hear talking about it, they're using like 300 to 1,000% slippage to snipe these. Is there anyone here who has experience using this bot and has got some trades to execute? All right. If not, I can get further information on that to see how other people are setting theirs up. But the reason I asked you about slippage right away is because, like I said, when I'm talking to these other guys or I'm seeing them talk about how much slippage they're recommending for other people to use, it's always over 100%, because sniping slippage is a lot different than the slippage that you would require for getting in to like a copy trade, for example, because 100% when you're trying to get in right at launch, when you're trying to be the first buy, when you're trying to be in within the couple buys, the chart can jump 100% within 2 buys. You know what I mean? Like the liquidity is so low, the market cap so low that someone drops a sold buy, it already jumped over 100%. You know what I mean? So like that's why these people are setting them up, 200, 400 and up slippage, so that even if the chart already does like a 2 or a 4x, they still get in because they know it's likely going to do more X's from there. Because a chart could do like 4x, 5x, and more from launch and still be at like a 6K market cap,
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mary.
Yeah, no problem. Feel free to DM me and let me know that you're looking for advice on the particular bot. Write out the bot that you're using, and I'll contact some other users who have some more experience with it when I have some time, and I can get you some further information. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. So let's cover that over DM so I can get into looking at some of these wallets here.
Okay, thanks. And if I find, once I do the little bit of analysis, if I could find something to share with you, I'll share with you my ideas, and then, we could talk about what you want to do with it and whatnot. Thank you.
That's great. No problem. Looking forward to it. No problem. Thank you. All right. So we have now, to date, looked at every type of wallet that is offered by Zelfi Guru. So what do we know about sniper wallets and the approach to sniper wallets? Does someone know how we use sniper wallets, how we don't use sniper wallets? Can someone speak a little bit about that? We've been talking about that for a while now. Someone should have that information.
From what I understand with sniper wallets, you can't really get in the way they get in. So the recommendation is to watch them and then see if they don't sell right away their entire bag, and then get in possibly on the dips after them. It's the general kind of
You killed it. You killed it, man. Good stuff. So you got the main takeaway that we are trying to make sure you guys understand, that when you see the snipers there, it's not for the option that you want to put this in your copy trade, because again, it's just not going to fire off the buys. It may fire off the second buys that they do, but you might not want to be buying in there and stuff. So in general, since we don't copy snipers, but we do utilize them as a strategy, right? Okay, so Serge posted this, and it will go with our talk. He posted it at 4:25 a.m. my time, so I didn't really see it, but I saw it when I woke up, but didn't have enough time to go over it. But let's go over it because it kind of it's definitely right on trail with what we're talking about right now. So what he said is, example for people who think that snipers is just a skip wallet, you're wrong. Wallet was sent on the 21st, and on screen his stats we can see. Next, get the idea you could implement going over such a wallet on manual trading. So just as you just specified there, you know, we come up with a strategy that we could use for it, and it is a manual trading strategy since we don't add it to our copy trading. And then he proceeds to say, if wallet doesn't sell all coins on his first sell, try entering after. Next 3 screens are his deals. So again, he reiterates, this is an important part to understand, to add to the strategy of, okay, so when do we work with a sniper and when do we not? If the wallet doesn't sell all coins on his first sell, meaning he's keeping a position, try entering after. So try entering on a dip after that. Try entering when it looks like, you know, you're going to get a good entry. The next 3 screens are his deals. All right. So we can read this, and we can trust Serge because Serge is obviously known to be trustworthy in helping us in the past. So if we see him posting something, we know, okay, this is something that is good advice for us to look over. So I hope we can look into this a little bit further to see what it is that he saw, right? Because right now we can read that information, but we can't really see what he saw to make sense of this wallet and why it was good. But I'm going to try to expand on it. When I expand on it, can you guys see it a little better? Yes,
It
no.
looks the same.
It looks exact same.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
the same, similar.
Yeah, same.
Oh, exact same. Okay. For me, it expands it. So I'm just going to go over it quickly with you guys because there's no way I can show you my little expansion that I have onto my screen. I was hoping that it would show that, but so it gives this wallet a scalper and a sniper tag. The wallet balance is 16.09 sell. You can see from the yellow bubble that the most recent activity was no activity, but prior to that is 0.2. You know, just days prior to that he had 0.9, and then his greatest trade was or greatest day at least was 12.6 SOL. Okay. So his profit over these trades, and there was only 3 unique tokens, was 13.76 SOL, which is really good over 3 tokens. ROI is 275.14. Again, remember when we're following snipers, we're not going to get their ROI, but it would be nice if we could get something close to that. His win rate's 100%. Obviously, he has a flag for sniping. It comes up as he sniped 2 of them, and 1 of them he didn't. But it's showing he had 1 that went over 5x, and then the other ones were just under 2x on his 3 trades, averaged by some 1.67. Average buys, there was 3 buys, meaning he only bought once per token, and then he sold 9 times. So he scaled out on average about 3 times per token. And it sucks because these I would at least like you guys to kind of see what happened here, but I'll just go over them since you can't see the numbers on this trade. He bought for 1. He was able to sell for 1.2. On this trade, he bought for 2. He was able to sell for almost 3. But this is the trade that he made a lot of money on. So this is the trade that we're talking about mostly having a strategy on. And in this trade, he bought, it looks like it was 2 SOL. His first SOL was 4.2, followed by 2.7, 1.8, 1.2, 1.5, 1.69, and a 1.24. So he made an awful lot of money on this trade. We could see it indicated from the bubbles that we were looking at. But on this trade, we can see his entry here, you know, obviously sniped it. It was a good entry, but there was plenty of dips for us to get in at lower ranges around here and be able to still have, you know, good sells up there. But again, we can make our sells on our own. We don't have to scale out like that. We could have just bought a dip, maybe bought 0.5 SOL, 0.2 SOL, whatever we were comfortable with, and then you know, after it did, after it starts climbing up here, we could just sold that all at one go whenever it was worth, you know, 5x, 6x, whatever we wanted to take from the dip that we got there. But that shows an instance of exactly what we're talking about on sniper wallets and how we could use them. It's good that that kind of lined up between Serge's posts and us going over these wallets again. Okay. So if there's any questions on that, go ahead and fire it off. If not, we're going to continue.
I do have a question. When you say watch them after they enter, like how do we actually watch them? Like like notifications wise, or like we add them to our Trojan and but don't add any positions to it and just see them firing off? Like how do you do that?
Do you see my screen now and what I just highlighted?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the voice calls thread yesterday, we were going over fresh wallets, and most of the time for fresh wallets, you know, there's not a lot of data on them, especially for their recent trades and stuff. So we want to track them instead of following them right away. Kind of the same thing we want to do when we take an approach for snipers. So here we have two bots. We have the Solana notify bot and then the define bot, and these bots you're able to track these wallets without, you know, following them, without, you know, entering their trades and stuff, but just get alerts for when they are doing stuff and when they're going on. So that was just posted yesterday. So if you just scroll up a little bit, you'll find it. It's not too far up, as you can see. That was the bottom. That's where it's posted. Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so now we're going to move on and talk about the instances of scalper wallets. So again, you don't need to be 100% correct. We're all still learning here. We go over things because we want to reiterate and make sure they're concrete and we have the right knowledge about what we are looking at and what we can use the things that we are finding and how we can utilize them. So can someone explain to me generally what a scalper wallet is and how we would use them? Times we might not want to use them and times we would want to use them. Even if you do not have the complete knowledge of it, even if you could share a piece of knowledge that you feel that you've learned about scalper wallets that you think you know, I would appreciate that, because I want to get you guys into the collaboration, because if I just tell you everything, I don't know that you guys know it. I know that I've told you it, but I don't know if you understood it. So someone please take a shot at a scalper wallet and what we use these for, or how they kind of trade, just any information you can give me about a scalper wallet.
Okay. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Scalper wallets are actually my favorites because everything I do is intuitive. I didn't read or learn. I don't have a formal definition of what it is. I just guessed. So I look into the data. I see that they could enter a trade, and within the next hour, let's say 5, 15, 20 minutes after, they get out with some profit. So I like them better than the snipers, because I lost a lot of money with the snipers. And also we can watch them. Like I go on the DEX screener and I filter their address and I watch what they're doing. Sometimes you feel like they're selling, but they're selling only a part of it. So you have the time to follow them and learn what they do. So they're my favorite. I don't really like, I'm not sure if alpha means that it's longer over days. I don't really like that because maybe they know what they're doing, but my money's stuck, and sometimes it goes down. They add on it, and it goes down, and that's scary. I don't really like that, so I prefer scalpers. That's
Awesome. That was such a good takeaway, especially for the fact that you haven't really read up on them. You don't know the exact definition, but based on your experience, this is what you have learned. This is why you like them. This is kind of how you use them. So you gave us a really good explanation on what a scalper wallet is to you, and I appreciate you coming up and doing so. Does anybody want to add on anything to that? Because I know a lot of you guys have this information. I see you guys here all the time. I imagine you guys are listening because I see a lot of you guys asking questions. So is there anything that anybody wants to add on to the point she said?
Yes, I would like to say that, okay, so in the sense that I think what she said is more of a day trader. Scalpers are more like they'll get in and out within minutes and at most probably like an hour.
Okay, that is
I can add.
Go ahead. Whoever was trying to speak, please go ahead.
It's Jenny again. So with scalpers, they typically take small profits. So they can they can actually affect the trade and when you get out if their time between buy and sell is very short. By the time your bot sells, you might actually be at a loss when they're at a small profit. So that's what I personally noticed with some of the traders that I added. And so for me personally, the practice would be to make sure that the time between their buys and sells is larger, like several minutes, well, like at least like 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. For me personally, again, and that's when it starts to make sense.
Perfect. Okay, so what I love about what happened just there between the three of you, you guys all kind of were bouncing off of each other's ideas of what you thought a scalper was. You were all adding information towards what someone else just said. And that's how we really learn how to collaborate with our learning. And for me, let's say, I could come from an objective of being someone who was like marking a test of your answers. And the good thing is that with what you guys said, nobody said something that was incorrect. Although your opinions kind of differed from each other's in ways, you guys were still correct in all of the things that you stated. So by knowing that there was a lot of different views on a scalper wallet, one person was saying this, another person was saying this, there's a large takeaway to be said about a scalper wallet, and that it is not like, a fresh wallet, an alpha wallet, a sniper wallet, where we have a definition, and that definition is the only definition that makes sense. Because with scalper wallets, from wallet to wallet, we can look at 5 different scalpers and we'll see that they're all different. Because just like what you finished off with saying, Jenya, is that holding time for a scalper wallet is going to be something that's important to you. And then just prior to that, the gentleman said that they are usually day traders and they're out within, sometimes seconds, sometimes minutes. They'll hold for maybe an hour. And then we had the woman who was speaking and then talking about how it was her favorite wallet to trade because she can see a lot of what is going on. There's a lot of data. There's a lot to track. Sometimes they're not selling it all at once. And that gives us a very encompassing view to realize that when I said none of your answers were incorrect, it's because scalper wallets are the wallets that are so flexible in comparison to all these other wallets, because there is times where they do hold for a very short time and they're scaling in and they're getting quick profits in and out. But there is also times that we can see where they're holding for longer amounts of times. We've looked at scalper wallets that were holding on average for, hours at a time. We were looking ones that were holding for minutes at a time. We were looking at ones that were only holding for seconds at a time. So although that you could say, yep, scalper wallets only hold for seconds, it's like, it can be that way, and you can find scalper wallets that do that, but there will also be scalper wallets that are holding for an hour. So we know that with scalper wallets, unlike sniper wallets, we can make a strategy around them when the strategy fits something that we're trying to do. And I'll repeat what Jenya was saying. A lot of times it comes down to the holding time. If our scalper wallets are holding for a decent bit of time, and we can see we can get in there, get a good position, hold for 45 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, and they're making decent profits and they're continuously trading like this, it could be a very good wallet for someone to trade and follow. Okay, so I think that was the hardest wallet in terms of all the wallets. Go ahead.
Amir, can I just kind of comment? From what I've seen so far in all the wallet dumps, most of them are scalper wallets. I might be wrong on that, but so, does that usually means that the scalper wallets, because of their varying holding time, are typically like the ones that most of us would take? There are wallets without a tag too, obviously, and then there are like Fresh and Alpha, which some of them end up being scalpers too. But just like, it's not like there's a lot of variety. It's like scalpers, snipers, and and none. So
yeah, so scalpers, the reason that you see them the most is just because they fall into that criteria the most. They're going to fall into a decent win rate because, again, they're not doing super risky plays. So you're going to often see your scalpers falling into a higher win rate, and it needs a decent win rate to be able to be pushed to the profitable wallets. It's also going to fall into an ROI that's good enough for us to make profit. And that's the largest reason that you're going to see a lot of scalpers here, because there's a lot of people who trade in the area of where we would call them a scalper. And even though they all trade differently, we can see a lot of variance in the way that they trade based on the way that they trade and based on the profits they get, based on the ROI. A lot of them fall into the parameters that would push them to the profitable wallet section.
I have a question. So just now, one of the snipe tried to trigger in the DeFi Solana bot, but I got an error saying that transaction declined, MEV protection. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, do you have MEV protection on right now with your sniper in settings?
Sorry, I turned the mic off. Just bear with me. I'm looking through right now. I don't think so. I didn't see the option for what do you call that? The MEV protection for that in DeFi Solana bot.
Look through your bot and see if you do. If you can click into that MEV protection notice that you got within SolScan, it may give you further information. And then bring it, after you look into those parts, bring it up to me a little bit later, as we're going to take questions a little bit later that are kind of off course from what we're doing now.
Okay, so I'm gonna be working until, I go back to work in about 20 minutes, and then I'm working until 4 o'clock. So somewhere in the evening time, hopefully I'll go and get into it and then give you that message that you asked for.
Just DM me with the information, and I'll get to it when I can. I might not get to it right away, but I'll get to it at some point when I can.
Sure, thanks.
Okay, so did that question answer as far as why we see so many scalpers? Because the way the scalpers trade, the way their profit ROI win rate works out, and the flags being below the criteria set, it just pushes a lot of these forwards to the profitable wallets. That makes sense to everyone? All right, I'm going to take it. It does. There's no commentary. Now, so far we've went through snipers. We have also gone through scalpers. Let's see if someone can take some type of take at an alpha wallet. As far as what we've talked about, we've gone over alpha wallets now. We spent a couple days looking at them. I've talked about them many, many times. So as far as that goes, what have you taken away from it? And it doesn't have to be a complete answer. It could be just a piece of what you have gotten from it. Again, try your best. It doesn't need to be a complete answer. I just want to make sure, again, that when I go through information so many times and we have people, we're listening, we're learning, I want to make sure that some of this information is getting through and you guys are starting to develop your own understanding. So if someone asks you, hey, what's an alpha wallet? You would be at least able to tell them a couple things about an alpha wallet, or at least one thing about it. So please, someone just take a stab at it.
Yeah, so alpha wallets are wallets with a whole win rate and whole ROI. They mostly get in at a high capacity of amount of sold, and yeah, always strikes, or mostly strikes. Sometimes, often they are new wallets, so too. And yeah, did I miss something?
That was a pretty great answer, actually. Does anyone have something that they want to add to it? But no, that was a great answer. Yeah, I think you did such a good answer at covering that no one really has anything else to add, because you hit most of the points. Yeah, generally when we're looking at alpha wallets, they are wallets that are tagged alpha because they're generally known to have, very good win rates. They're known to bring back good ROIs on the trades that they have. They have minimal losses and they minimize their losses. And they're generally turning good profit. On alpha wallets, we can have, in a lot of instances, lower data wallets, because to fall into such a high criteria that alpha wallets need to fall into within their win rate and their ROI being so high, it can be sometimes just wallets that have just started off and had 3 trades, 2 trades or so, and within those trades they have remarkable stats which push them to an alpha wallet. But if you guys have been doing this for long enough now, and you're finding wallets on DexScreener and finding wallets in different ways, finding wallets here that are alpha wallets and tracking them and seeing that they're going forward and they're carrying on an alpha tag for a while, then you can see that it's not just wallets that only have a couple of trades or 3 trades and they only are the ones with the alpha tags. Because like I said, I have had wallets that I had held in terms of my copy traders, had in my copy trades for a while, over a month or over a couple months, and they still remained with that alpha tag because they were still keeping consistent on their stats with their win to loss ratios and ROI and all that. So that was a very good answer for that. So far now we have gone over sniper, we have gone over scalper, and we have gone over alpha. So we have a pretty good understanding of what all these wallets were. And if you guys were here yesterday, or if you watched the voice recording yesterday, you'd see we went over fresh wallets. And I haven't gone over fresh wallets as much, and the fresh wallets that I had seen had been different than the fresh wallets we went over yesterday. So I actually got quite a few takeaways from that. I'm not too stubborn to say, hey, I already knew all this. When I see something that looks different than what I know, I'm going to be like, hey, no, yesterday when we were looking at the fresh wallets, I learned some things, and I saw some things that I didn't know about yesterday, and I learned a lot about what the fresh wallets that are coming through, profitable wallets, but even that Zelfi Guru bot is going to take as a fresh wallet. I learned a lot about kind of what they mean, and it was different than what I initially thought. So this one will maybe be a harder one to answer, but if you were here yesterday, it will be an easier one to answer because we did go over them just yesterday. But anyways, let's see if someone can at least pick out a couple things that we had learned from the fresh wallets. So please, someone, go ahead.
The fresh wallets are often wallets that was former alpha wallets, but they changed because maybe they recognized that a lot of copy traders was following them. So they changed the wallets and was trading with new wallets, and that's almost the fresh wallets when my understanding was right.
Okay, interesting take. Some of what you said I think is online. Some of what you said I think is a little bit outside, but I appreciate the take. Does anyone want to add to that?
I think fresh wallets are kind of like the I mean, very well, it could be what he said, but also at the same time that it's just like that Selfie Guru has not tracked yet in the previous. So these are new wallet addresses that are coming up to track for future.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Good stuff. If someone else wants to add on to that, go ahead. Okay. I'm gonna.
I would just add that. I'm not sure if the other gentleman mentioned it, but it could just be it could just be like experienced traders that are just creating new wallets, and if they have there's not enough data, obviously, but if you basically track them or do a small like test sums, you can see if they consistently perform well over some time.
All right. Awesome. So I appreciate all those answers, and I think there was a lot of logic and sense in a lot of those answers. It seemed like you guys either paid attention yesterday and you were here yesterday, or you took the time to go over the voice recording, because those answers were pretty solid. And I'm just going to add to those answers just as I did for the other wallets. But as far as we see with fresh wallets, let me explain to you one thing. So when I was initially looking at fresh wallets and I seen some fresh wallets, they were truly fresh wallets, meaning that a fresh wallet to me, in my sense, before looking at a fresh wallet on Zelfi Guru, if someone were to ask me before I was even introduced to Zelfi Guru what a fresh wallet was, well, a fresh wallet is a wallet that is recently funded. It wasn't funded before. It does not have trading activity before. It was just recently funded, and it's starting its trading activity now. That would be the general sense of what I have for a fresh wallet. And even going into here, I've seen fresh wallets that were like that, right? So that's what my understanding of a fresh wallet was. As we went through fresh wallets yesterday, we can now have a takeaway that fresh wallets, as per Zelfi Guru and how they're spitting them out on the bot and through profitable wallets, are more of fresh activity. So what I mean by that is we were seeing wallets yesterday that had 2 months of activity. I think I saw one that had 2 years of activity. But because the activity did not fall within the range of Zelfi Guru's collection data, which is the last 30 days, it still indicates it as a fresh wallet. So in the instances that I was looking at it through Zelfi Guru before yesterday's voice chat, and I saw fresh wallets, I was seeing fresh wallets. I was seeing fresh wallets that were newly born wallets that were just funded, that were just starting trading, and they were fresh wallets in terms of the instances that I was used to seeing. Now, we looked through the fresh wallets yesterday, and all the wallets that we saw, they had data of trades and transactions and activity that happened outside of the 30-day window. So they could have had trades that happened 2 months ago. And in the general sense of me saying what I thought a fresh wallet was, based on my knowledge, based on my experience, versus what a fresh wallet is to Zelfi Guru, and what will come up when we pull up fresh wallets, we have to understand that there is going to be wallets that may not be necessarily in the idea of a fresh wallet, but more of there was fresh activity within that 30-day collection window. And not only will we see that, but we will see true fresh wallets, which you would expect to be a wallet that was just funded recently and has just started trading. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not ever gonna go through something with you guys and be like, for example, the fresh wallets I went with you guys yesterday. And so, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, what am I looking at? Because I'm seeing there's data and I'm trying to make sense of it. And it took a bit. And it was actually someone who was on here yesterday who was like, well, I'm seeing like the reason it's popping up is because, well, it just caught data within the last 30 days and there wasn't trading activity before that. And then we were able to kind of see that. So there's not going to be a time where, we're going through something, I'm trying to explain something to you. If I catch something that, catches me off guard or I don't have a full understanding of it, I'm not going to try to pretend like I did, but it's more useful for conversation down the road, like today, to go.
Amiri, lost sound from you.
Yeah, I think he disconnected from his internet service for a little bit.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't my internet. I have no clue what happened. It looked like my mic automatically muted itself. I might have pressed a random button on my keyboard and it just did that. But where was I when I cut off?
You were just asking if I think fresh wallets are understood.
Okay, perfect. And pretty much what I ran through is that I'm never going to go through something and pretend like if I'm having a hard time understanding it or I understand it fully, I'm not going to be like, nah, I understand this and try to make it seem like, I know more than I do. When I looked at the fresh wallets yesterday, I was expecting something different than what was saw. So it took me a second to wrap my head around it. And I think going over it again today, with the understanding of how Zelfi Guru populates its fresh wallets, it's only beneficial to have a true understanding of what we're looking at. And it wasn't until yesterday that I actually had a better understanding of what the fresh wallets actually were. And I think now we kind of all have a pretty good understanding of the fresh wallets can be indicative of a true fresh wallet, a new wallet that was just started and newly funded by maybe an alpha trader, maybe just a regular trader like you and I who are starting off a wallet, made a couple good trades to start off, whatever. But it can also be indicative of a trader who didn't have activity within a 30-day window, and then it recently picked up activity within the 30-day window. So it's more like in that instance, like fresh activity, but it will still fall into the fresh wallets. That makes sense to everyone? All right. So if we went through now snipers, we went through scalpers, we went through alpha, and we went through fresh wallets. We went through all the wallets that are tagged. And now we have to think, what do we prioritize in terms of being someone who, let's say we're prioritizing copy trading, because I mean, that's what I prioritize. But if we're prioritizing copy trading, is there a specific wallet type that we want to prioritize? And you could take this as a trick question, or you could just take it for face value for what I'm saying. But I want to hear your ideas on this, because this call is more about the knowledge we've went through, going over it again, seeing what we actually understand from the knowledge that we've spoke about, and having some collaboration and ideas. So with that being said, we went over all of these wallets. And again, I said there might be a trick question in here, but what do we want to prioritize as copy traders?
All right, if I can give it a shot, just kind of going, looking at the visual of the wallet, let's say, going from top to bottom. So looking at the activity, I guess I can speak for myself, but you know, for there to be some activity to make sure there's not an inactive wallet, then you look at their, you know, the next few lines with the actual amounts that they won and lost. You try to make sure that their losses are not huge in relation to, I guess, to their wins, as well as to the average buy sum. You want to make sure that they don't consistently lose like the entire amount they put in, and then you look at their obviously their profit. You know, if they have a decent profit in relation to everything else, this install amount, ROI, it's good for it to be around 100 at least. Win rate, win rate 60 or 7. I guess that's more of a preference thing in relation to other things, but typically let's say 70, 75 over. Because if you get closer to 50, it's like you said, it's like flipping a coin, more or less. You try to make sure they don't have a lot of flags. I mean, yeah, you definitely can have flags, but as long as the percentage is small, very small. I'm just obviously talking generalities right now, but buys and sells, those are things like, from what I remember, it's like they can be, if there are a lot of sells in relation to buys, that typically means that they scale out of the trades, which, you know, in some instances could be good if they don't scale out if the time between scaling out is not too short, because that means you might not be able to get the same trades as they do. And you also look at the average buy and sell time to make sure that it's not super short, like for some scalpers. Yeah, I think that's
yeah, I think that was a pretty well encompassing explanation of, you know, what you kind of want to look at. And I'm talking wider as far as we looked at all these wallets and stuff, and we saw Sniper, Alpha, Fresh, a Scalper, and, you know, how we apply these, how we choose to use these. You gave us a very good breakdown of kind of when you're looking at the data set of, you know, how you use it and how you think it should be implemented. And I agree with almost everything you said there. Does anybody want to add in to their take? Because this is a very general question about when we're looking to add things to copy trade. It's like, you know, we see all these tags and stuff. Like, what do we do with all the information we have? Like, what do we do with a Sniper tag? What do we do with Alpha tag? What do we do with these fresh wallets? What do we do with these scalpers? And what was the learning that came out of that? Does anybody want to throw anything else that they might want to add towards any of that?
Yeah, I think one thing that they all have in common is the average buy amount around 2 SOL or less.
Or average buy amount being 2 SOL, 2 SOL or less.
Yeah.
So is that something like you kind of want to look at when you trade? That's a criteria that you look for? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's something I noticed about all the wallet types, whether they're snipers, scalpers, alphas. Generally, one thing that have in common are the average buy amounts are about 2 SOL or less. And yeah, that is something I look for as well.
Yeah, it is something I look for as well, but let's see if I can find a case here quickly where it's differing from that, because I know that there is cases that differ when, you know, some of these scalpers are using huge buy sum to enter their trade. But as I go through your point, does anyone else want to add anything to this?
How's it going, guys? I've just joined late on the chat, so I'm just playing catch up a little bit. I recently joined the bot service and been thrown into the world of wallet watching and finding every day. I'm fine tuning the data and fine tuning the stuff that I'm looking for. I think just high percentages of rockets and greens, and a bit of blues versus a significant low percentage of poop emojis and reds, is plus time spent in a trade is always a good indicator. You know, that's what I've picked up in the last few days anyway. You know, like you don't guys who are in and out of trades, you don't really want to be following them as much. You want something like an hour and a half up to a few hours to be like the sweet spot, if I'm not mistaken, or longer.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good take. And if anyone wants to add, you can. I'll say everything I got to say. I'm just really trying to find a wallet here that has a larger average buy sum for the trade, because I know that there is, and I can't search by it, but I'm not actually that bothered by it. Just know that you will find wallets once in a while that, you know, do have larger buy sum, something like 5 SOL plus or even 10 SOL average buy sum, especially with these scalpers who are just looking for sometimes 20%, 50% profit on their trades. They don't mind going in with 10 SOL and making 2 SOL. Okay, you guys can still hear me okay? I want to make sure, because it seemed like my mic,
Loud and clear. Loud and clear, yeah.
All right, good stuff. So the one thing that I left out is we went through all of the wallet types that were marked, right? But then we also have average wallets that aren't marked with anything. We don't fit them in a scalper type. We don't fit them in an alpha type. We don't fit them in a sniper type, and we don't fit them as fresh wallets. So we have wallets that are going to be kind of just stand alone in terms of, well, we need to look at this wallet now and indicate what kind of wallet it is to us, because it's a little bit easy when you have a wallet that, you know, says scalper, where, well, we're like, well, we know kind of what a scalper trades like because we talked about it so many times. So we know kind of how this wallet's going to behave, but let me look into it anyways to see if it makes sense. Same with snipers, same with fresh, same with alpha. We know what we expect to see out of those wallets. But when we come across a wallet that doesn't have any tags, and for a large amount of wallets, here, you know, we have a lot of scalper wallets, but I mean, if you're putting in, you'll see a lot of wallets without any tags too. But like if you're putting in from like DexScreen and you're finding wallets and they don't have any tags and stuff, you still need to be able to accurately look at that and see how a wallet with no tag behaves. But because you have no indication, because there's no label on it, you have to make that instance up for yourself of how that wallet looks and if it looks good to you. Now, the gentleman who was just speaking before said he wants to see lots of rockets when he's looking at the traders, and obviously see lower, the poo emojis, which means they got 50 losses, and see some blues there, that's fine, but see some greens there as well. Good spread of that. We want to see more of, obviously, the green, and go forward is what we want to see. And in a perfect world, that's what we would see. But we also need to know how different things will impact this, right? Because even if he has like 5 rockets, but like he's just taking like massive losses, even if there are losses that are under 50%, but he just got a massive number in it. Like say he had like 6 rockets here, but he has like 14 losses that were under 50%. That's obviously going to change how we see the data, but we can't just resolve our analysis based on this data. This is good to give us a visual representation pretty quickly, but it's not really good for actually making an instance if we're going to add this to our copy traders or not. The best instance, what we get here, in my opinion, this is what I look at, is like, first I want to see that like they're trading a decent bit. I don't want someone who just traded one day here and then just traded here. Maybe I could follow them because maybe they're just starting trading again and they took a vacation or something. I don't know. But I would rather see like good activity over, the last 2 weeks. I know this is someone I could put in and it will start working for me right away. That's something I like to look for. But between that is obviously I want to make sure the losses are mitigated. So like when I'm looking at something like this and I see on the red days here, it was only a 0.2 loss. That's a pretty good.
You're not sharing a screen if you think you are.
Thanks. All right. That must have cut out when my mic cut out because I didn't change screens for a very long time now. But whatever, we'll get it working. Okay. So you can see the screen now. Let me put it in full size. You guys can see it okay? Yes? No?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can see with this guy, like, again, this loss was barely a loss to the point it shows it as 0.00. So, and I see the other loss 0.2. Just back to my points of like looking at the losses, because not all losses are made equal. And then his other loss was only 0.1, but I see a gain here of 4.9 that's so substantial in comparison to his losses. And even the 0.2s and the 0.1s start to add up when the losses are so small. But then we come down to this, and this is the most important thing for me, is I want to see like what kind of profits have they pulled within the 30 days. If it's a guy who's trading with a very small amount and he's not pulling so much over the 30 days, but he has a very small like average buy sum, sometimes it's even less. You'll see guys trading with 0.1, 0.2 and stuff. Whatever, if he's getting lower sold profit, I know that I might be able to fit this guy in where I can, like, if he's trading with like 0.15 or something, I can just do 200% on his trade and trade with double him, and I should get close to double his profits. I know this guy's not making a huge price impact with that kind of buy, and I know he won't be making a huge price impact with those kind of sells on whatever token he's trading. So I have found a lot of guys with even smaller buy amounts. I'm not always looking for around 1 or 2 sold. If someone has a 0.2 buy, average buy, but they have very good statistics, say like, win rate, I'm always looking for like around 70% and higher, 65% and higher. I don't like to go too much below 65, definitely not too much below 60 for the win rate, sorry. And then for the ROI, like we all say we would like it to be higher, being in like 100, 120, 150, 200 plus range. But if my guy here is hitting at like a 75% win ratio and he's only achieving, let's say it's over 50, but even if he was achieving a 50, let's say he's achieving like a 65 ROI. So I know likely on his trades, he's trading with a small amount. I should be able to get it close to 65 ROI. He's doing 75% win rate. I follow this guy if his parameters here that he's falling in between remain stable. I know I'm going to make money off of him. So even though the ROI is lower, I don't really care. Like, I don't look for ROI the same way I look for win rate, because ROI works out to be a balance between the gains and the losses, and it averages out the return on investment for every trade, and then divided by the amount of trades. So just because someone has like, I have people on right now that have like a 65, 70% ROI, but these people still hit 5Xs. It's just that, sometimes they lose a little bit. Maybe they lost 10% on that trade. That's obviously impacts the ROI. Sometimes they lost 20%. Sometimes they only made a 25% gain, and a 25% gain would drop your ROI from 50 closer to 25% if that kept on happening. So just because the ROI is a little bit lower, don't let that discourage you so much if the win rate is still higher, because your win rate's the bread and butter. Because even if win rate means this, right? Win rate means either it fell into the under 2x, between the 2 to 5x, and the 5x plus. So I know that when they win, that's what happened. And for myself, I know I'm happy with every single instance that happens here, right? If they do under 2x and I get a 50% gain on one SOL, I walk away with 0.5 SOL, I am happy with that. If they do a 3x and I put one SOL and I walk away with 3 SOL, I am happy with that. If they do a 5x plus, obviously I'm happy with that, with my 1 SOL that I put in, right? So although win rate, I want to drill into you guys, like, that's your bread and butter. This has to make sense. The win rate needs to be something that's substantial. You could flip it this way and be like, okay, what if he has a win rate like this, that's 57%, but his ROI is like 400%, So like that can kind of mitigate the win rate, because he's still taking losses, but on average, like, his wins are pretty huge. So you could kind of say that like mitigates the win rate. But usually you'll see those, such high ROIs with very little data. And normally you don't see traders that continue to streak like that, or they had a ridiculously high trade where they made like an 1000x or something close to that, and that is really throwing off their ROI. And you see their other trades, they're only making like a 1.2x, or they're making maybe a 2x, and there's a loss here, there's a loss here, and whatever here, but their ROI is still ridiculously high because they have that one anomaly of a trade where they made the 1000x. Does that make sense to everyone?
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so just remember that the data is your friend here. And when you're looking at this stuff, even though it's presented to you in a way that looks nice, there's a formatting of it, it's pretty easy to read. All we're looking at here is, pure data that has been made in a way that is a little bit more digestible to us. So when you're basing your guys that you're going to copy trade, you have to base it off the data, and largely where the data is right where I'm showing you. Like, this is the most important data, at least to me. I think to most people, this is the most important data that you want to look at. Obviously, we have other data here that's going to be mitigating of it, especially sell time. We don't want someone who falls in a very short sell time, because we know oftentimes we're not going to be able to catch their buys, we're not going to be able to catch their sells, just because the way they're trading is too quick. So that's something that we want to be mindful of. But like this right here is really the bread and butter of you being able to decipher the data and then making sense of it, right? So we can't just stop here, because we know what we've been doing every other session when we have been pulling up data. We have been saying like, okay, this wallet looks pretty good. I'm not saying this wallet in particular. I'm using a hypothetical wallet. Let's say we found a wallet that win rate was, around 70%, ROI around 80%. We thought it looked good. There's no red flags, as you can tell. And then before just deciding to put this into our wallet, we need to go into and test see how their trades are, right? By seeing how their trades are, we can see, are they trading too quick? Are they getting entries that we're going to be able to get? Are they selling at good exits? Or are they holding too long? Are they holding way past all-time high and then they're dumping at a lower point and hardly taking profits? Because it gives you an idea. So say that was the case. Say he buys and then he holds it way past all-time high every single time, and he starts selling when it goes down. And he's like, hardly in profits when you could have easily sold in profits, but you can see that consistency and that pattern with this trader. Then when this trader trades, you likely want to sell when you think it's at a high, because he will not. But you would not have that information to even base your sell strategy upon if you never took the time to open up the trades. So after we look at all of the data here, we make sense of all the data here, it looks good to us, we have to do our final preparation before we can add it to our traders, and that is going through I would say at least 3 to 5 trades, so you can get a very good idea of how this guy is trading. Okay. So I think at this point in time, I can open it up for any general questions. We went over quite a lot today. So over the last week now, we have been going over wallets. We've been looking in the profitable wallet section every day. We have been going over the categories of wallets. I think we started with scalper. We looked at snipers. We moved on to alphas yesterday. We looked at the fresh wallets today. We went over a summary of what we had went over, and did we get concrete ideas about what these wallets mean? And I think you guys did a killer job of explaining what it is that you're looking at when you're looking at a scalper, sniper, and alpha fresh wallet. Everyone has that understanding now, and if they don't, they can come and they can revisit this voice call and they'll be able to get that understanding. But now that you guys have all this, now that we know how to go into the trades, because we've been doing that for the last 4 days, we've been opening up the trades and looking at, when they bought and when they sold. Now that we know how to do this, you guys are sufficient enough to be able to now be profitable in copy trading. There's no reason now that you can't be, because you know what to look for. You know what to look at. And most importantly, you know what you're looking at when you're viewing different things. But I think for this first phase of just giving you guys general knowledge that will make you a good copy trader, from our first voice chat that we had just over a week ago till now, you should be a copy trader who can trade in profits now, because you know what's going on. And now I'll open it up for just any questions you guys may have.
Wanted to ask, do your copy traders trade like every day, or like do you have copy traders that trade once a day?
Yeah, I have copy traders who like trade every day for a long time, and then like my favorite copy trader I have on, I thought I lost him because he didn't trade for 3 days straight, and it's just unlike him. But he just made us sell last night, so I'm like, okay, he's back, and hopefully he starts trading again today. But yeah, I mean, I have trades that go through every day because I have so many traders on. But no, my traders don't trade every day. Sometimes they'll take breaks and stuff like that.
Okay, all right. Because yeah, I've noticed it. Like I've been trading myself like lately these 3 days.
Okay,
So,
so that's interesting that you said that. I'm gonna just say something on that because I tell you guys how important it is to have rules, right? I told you that, if you guys read any book on trading, the top traders around the world who trade different things, forex, they trade the stock markets, they trade cryptos. One thing these traders will have in common is they all have a set of hard rules that they don't break. And one of my hard rules is no matter how boring it gets in copy trading, meaning it's obviously exciting when your copy traders are going off and there's multiple trades a day, you're bringing in money and stuff. But like when that used to happen to me, when there wasn't copy traders going off, I would just go trade. And when I trade, I'm not trading on statistics like I am with copy trading. Like I'm copy trading and putting these guys on based on their statistics. So I have some kind of reason to think they are going to perform well, right? But like as far as myself goes, if I just see some random cat coin pop up right now and it looks good, the graphics look good and stuff, it's like, I don't have any information on it. Like I could trade it and like it could moon. I know that it could because I've entered coins a lot that, I've traded myself and they moon, but it could also rug within the first like 12 seconds I get in there. They're just waiting for it to get to 30K. I pushed it to 30K with my buy and then they rug there. And then I'm instantly out of soul, and that just it had been a common occurrence to me where I was just trading so much because like I wanted to, sometimes we say we want to feel something, right? So we just enter a trade because we want that rush of being in a trade and having the potential to make money and stuff. But I set a hard rule for myself when copy trading really started to work for me and I was making money copy trading. The thing is, I'd start making money copy trading and I'd be up money and I'd be like, cool, I'm up money now so I can go trade with this. I'd end up losing that money trading. And then I'd have to wait for like my copy trades to put me up again. And then I got more money. Eventually I lost that money trading. So I made it a hard rule for myself to not trade no matter how slow of a day it is. If it's a really slow day, I'll fucking spend a lot more time like with wallet searching or I'll clean up for once, so my lady doesn't have to do all the cleaning. I'll just go clean something, but I will not trade too often.
That with losing it all because yesterday I was trading and I was pretty convinced. I entered the trade, I lost, and like an hour later, I thought like, nah, I gotta get this back. So I traded again, got all my initial souls back plus $3, and then I stopped.
Yep, that's the way it can be, man.
So do you primarily focus just on just who to copy trade, or when you find high statistic wallets? So like let's say if you find between a 55 to a 65% win rate with a high ROI, instead of copy trading that wallet, are you tracking like a long list of wallets as well as copy trading just to have a pulse on the market to see what the alpha wallets are doing as well, or do you not bother with that? Do you just purely copy trade?
I absolutely should be. In terms of if we're talking about best practices, like the wallets that I don't copy trade because I either took them off because they went into like bad performance and I deleted them completely, or sometimes I just like put them on the like orange bubble where they're like on a timeout. But I should just have these potential ones that I see, especially like in fresh wallets and alpha that are looking good. Like I should just add them to a list where I'm now following them. And I did post a list for you guys of a couple bots that you can use to do this. And I'm just going to go back to it since we're on the topic. But right here, you can see I posted a couple here. And I say I don't do it because I have enough like people going through and copy trading that like things are working out well right now. But I mean, if I want to like level up, it's a best practice to put more people on these lists. So if they do, start trading really well again, or an alpha wallet that was fresh continues to be an alpha wallet and stuff, I have it here so I can add it to my trader list whenever it looks good to. Like, definitely that is what I'd recommend to do, but it's not something I've put into practice myself, but I definitely will at some point in time.
Yeah, so I mean, for me specifically, in the last, I mean, I've been a part of your service now for about 3 days, and I've accumulated about 110 wallets that I've got an overview of. So they're in Solana, Ray. You know, these are relatively good percentage hit rates with strong ROIs. Some of them are, you know, I'm noticing patterns within what these guys are buying. It's not essentially good patterns, but in some cases, I've noticed some wallets that are buying. So, like, I'll go and find a coin, and then I'll go and check to see who's buying it. And actually, seeing certain wallets buying it and knowing what their buy and sell pattern and history is, it's actually, you know, put me off buying the coin. And I think in turn, it has saved me money from losing money. So, like that element's quite good as well, to have a finger on the pulse in that sense, if you're not using this service for copy trading, you know, if you want to manually trade.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, man, there's so many tools that you can put in your tool belt. And if there's tools that can help you even become 10% more profitable, then you definitely should use every single tool that you can use, right? As long as it is something that's efficient to use and it makes sense for your time and all that. But, you know, I said if a tool makes you 10% more profitable, you know, that can be huge when you add on 5 tools that accumulate to 50% more profitable, right?
Excuse me. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, no, I'm really grateful for you guys for what you've made here. I think it's one of the best tools I've ever come across in the space. And it's great that you guys aren't gatekeeping the information and you're trying to help others expand their knowledge and you know, bring everyone else up with you in the group. You know, I'm tremendously grateful for the products you guys have made. So really see the value. Right now, with regards to finding wallets, I'm going through specific coins and then going through the top 100 most profitable and then cherry picking the ones that I like the look of. I've seen people talk about June dashboards for data. The links that you guys have sent in the chats that are connected to the soul scans for Banana Bot and Unibot, stuff like that. Is there like a good, easy way to navigate that? Because the way I'm doing that right now is I'll just look through to see who's paying the most fees, who's paying priority fees, and anyone who's higher priority fee, I'll then go and look at them and then scan them. But I haven't really found that to be fruitful yet. So, is there any like tips and tricks you can share on how to be a better researcher?
In terms of fees, that's not really going to be too fruitful. I just couldn't ever imagine it being too fruitful. It's nothing I've ever looked at before. And I have seen my traders' fees just based off looking at their soul scan, seeing how much they're using for gas and stuff. But I would never have an approach of trying to find better people to follow based on how much fees they use, because I have traders that use lower gas than I do but are making crazy amount of money and I follow them, and then I have traders that use substantial more gas than I do and I go in with less gas but I still get a decent entry on their trade and I end up profiting from them. But that isn't, you know the saying, like, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
So in all instances of copy trading or trading at all in information and spending your time looking through things, you have to be in the mindset of being a profit maximalist. So if you spend 1 hour here and it results in this kind of outcome, and the outcome we can measure in dollars, the outcome we could measure in new copy traders that you got on, whatever you want to measure that outcome. Okay, now if we take that 1 hour and we apply it to this area, what are my results here? And if the results are resulting better in the second area, then we know that first area's juice isn't worth the squeeze until we've squeezed all the juice out of the second area. If we squeezed all the juice out of the second area, meaning we've looked at everything we can, we got most of the data, and we looked through all that, and we added the copy traders that we can, and we go through and look at it now, and it looks pretty dry because we've got everything out of it, then it doesn't matter if that first outlet was less valuable for our time, because we've already expended all of our time in the second outlet. And now that first area is the most valuable use out of the time, because we don't have a second outlet unless we find a third outlet that becomes even more valuable than the first and second outlet. Then we expend all of our energy in the third outlet because it's, producing the more juice.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that just takes, time. And you brought up Dune. I will tell you guys that overall, between using your strategies, I say the profitable wallets are like low-hanging fruit, because it's something that's already put out to you. And I want to remind you guys in this part of me speaking that the profitable wallets will only get better. They have got better since I started using the service, and they will only get better. And the tools that are coming to Zelfi Guru, like very soon, that are in development right now, that I will have tons and tons of info to talk about on these chats, because there's new tools and resources coming to Zelfi Guru. These are going to be things that you're going to be able to spend a lot of time using and getting a lot out of. But even things like you brought out Dune, Dune really is a gold mine. There should be a separate voice chat where there should be a separate voice chat where we go over Dune, some of the possibilities there. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but Dune is good stuff. It's a lot of data. I mean, and when you find a lot of data and you can make sense of the data, break it down, and make use out of it, then data, like I said, is your friend. So we got a lot of data that comes through from the profitable wallets. Obviously, the scanner is like the eyes. I couldn't imagine not having this scanner. If I find a good wallet, I'm not able to run it through Zelfi Guru. I'm really not able to see what's going on with the wallets. Like, all these flags that come up, it would take you hours to find those flags on an individual wallet if you were just looking at them yourself through SoulScan or something.
Dude, like a week ago, I was sitting here with a pen manually every single wallet. So you can imagine how I feel like Christmas came early when I found this product,
Yeah, me too, man. I know you haven't probably heard me speaking a lot because you're a little bit newer, but I actually came on to Zelfi Guru because my friend who I was like just starting copy trading with, who is like, there's this really great service. So he ended up buying it first, but then he showed me the results of like what he's finding. I'm like, dude, I need to get this. Like, if you're ever sleeping, whatever, like I need to make sure I'm on top of it, like being able to look at the wallets that I want to look at. So that introduced me to Zelfi Guru, and at that time, that's what really made me like really serious about copy trading. I'm like, there's something here. Like, as soon as I had a copy trader hit, and I was just like, not really paying attention, and I saw like, I just made double my profit, triple my profit, whatever. I'm like, nah, I got to get like a roster of copy traders on here so they can just be hidden all day. It doesn't matter if I'm chilling. It doesn't matter if I'm like spending some time with my girls, spending some time with my brother or whatever. I'm going to be able to be printing more passively than I've ever been in crypto, because man, I started crypto 5 years ago, and on average, I probably put in 15-hour days since I've started. A couple breaks here and there, but like just so much time had been sucked away, especially like last bull run. So right now, my whole strategy is to make sure I have a roster of like incredibly good profitable traders, so that when we go into bull run, I can be sitting on a patio, chilling with the fam, and just having my traders print for me. I don't want to be like doing what I was doing last bull run when it's so nice out and like I'm just inside every day working, grinding, waiting for projects to launch. I don't want to do that shit.
Totally understand, man. I totally get it. So yeah, June's where it's at basically. Then yeah, that's where I should spend my time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the profitable wallets right now are like low hanging fruit. They're so easy to look through, so easy to get some access to. I've got alpha wallets from here that I've carried on until now. That still hit for me. So it's worthwhile to utilize the profitable wallets. But the profitable wallets, it only really takes like 20 to 30 minutes to look through all of the new ones that come out a day. So if your strategy is to spend 2 hours a day hunting, well, if it only took 20 or 30 minutes, you still have an hour and a half. So you got deck
man.
and then you got
it's like gamifying it.
Yeah,
it's like gamifying your time, basically. You know, like when you do a side quest here, you're doing a side quest. Do this quest, do that quest, and perfect. Appreciate it all. Anyway, I'm gonna hop off and listen in, but I'll definitely re-listen to the start of the call because it sounds like I missed some great information you were sharing as well. So appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this call overall was a banger. I mean, I'm happier with some calls than others. At the end of the day, I come up here, I do my best to give you guys the best information to go over the most, but I know when some hit, and this one definitely hit. I'm not saying the other ones didn't, but this one was filled with information, so definitely a good one to go over. Okay, do we have any other questions here?
Yeah, buddy, what's going on?
Andy, what's up? We have two people. So, Creo Nations, I'll take your question right after. Andy, just be concise with your question. I know you like to talk forever. No offense.
The question was when guys are copy trading. Like I was just saying that I was hearing the guy said he's got like about 100 people in his Rolodex. How much people are we actually like? Is there a number like a ballpark number to be putting on instead of like slapping on everybody?
I don't know. 100 is fucking insane, but
yeah, that's what I mean. That's like a ridiculous. Like to me, that seems like wow.
So I feel like I could be comfortable at 20 myself. I'm at like 10 now. I feel like I could scale up to 20 as long as they were good traders. But like, again, that's 20 wallets that I'm going to have to, I talked about this on the beginning of the call, that I have to look at every day to make sure they're not slipping on me in terms of like ROI and win rate.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I was like, I think like, I don't know. I just thinking that like, sometimes I don't want to be overwhelmed. I was just like asking a question for the community's sake, like, okay, let's not overly like get too overwhelmed with it, maybe trying to get all that info system overload. Because even at the same time, I think my question too was, if they're playing with a certain size budget, I guess that's where my question was mostly kind of like trying to be directed. You're playing with a certain budget, then maybe like you allocate a certain amount per trade or something kind of along that line. Is that like a strategy that you might have used in the past? Like, let's say if it was 5 SOL you might only put on 5. This is just an example, 5 SOL, and you had 5 traders, and you said, okay, each trader kind of on average is a SOL.
No, I've never done that, because the traders that I've always had, doesn't matter the traders I had a month ago or the traders I have now, they just fire off at such different times that it doesn't really like, I haven't had to allocate, say, if I have 10 traders, I need 10 sold, because it doesn't work like that. Like, I usually keep the balance in and around like 7 to 9 sold, because if I've connected, I wanted to bring this up too. I've connected my wallet to 2 different places. I think I did bring this up yesterday. I've connected it now to Trojan. I've connected it to pump.fun at one point. I've connected it to BonkBot. So if there was ever a breach in any of these things that I've connected my wallet to, I don't want to, lose a lot of amount, right? Even 7 SOL is over, $1,000. So I just keep a relatively, like, I'm not going to say relatively small, because I know it's a large amount to a lot of people. And a lot of times it's a very large amount to me, but I don't want to keep 20, 30 SOL risk into something that I know is so vulnerable.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, cool, brother. Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, now Creole nations, feel free to ask your question. I think you were trying to before.
Yes, thank you. I like to use Excel a lot. I think I said that before. I can filter on the data that I need, and when I filter on 100% win rate, I think there are bots, but I'm not sure because they always win, of course. But when I put the address in the exchange and I look at the activity, it feels like they buy once at the beginning and then they keep on selling and selling and selling. And at the end of the day, they are profitable. Or sometimes even they don't even buy in the first trade. They sell and then they keep on buying and selling. That's how they look like they have 100%. But at the amount of sales they do, it looks like they're bots. But should we follow a trader that is a robot?
Okay, so
Or
we have to still apply all the other rules that we've been talking about when it comes to following someone. So regardless if it's a bot that's trading or if it's a human that's trading, the one thing that I want to look for is it profitable to trade. So is it profitable to trade? You have to look at different things. You have to look at the buy amount, the price impact that they're having on their sales, how they're scaling out. In this case, it sounds like they're buying once. What's important for me there is, will I even be able to catch that buy? Or are they buying too quick where I'm not going to be able to catch that buy? I'm going to be top candled or whatever may happen with it. But if I'm able to catch that buy and I'm able to catch it decently, then that is something I would want to go forward for if the rest of the sells are still profitable. But you need to treat everything as the same, regardless if it seems like it's a bot that's doing it, because someone could put a system into place where they buy at a specific time and then they set sell parameters at a certain time. But if that trader is profitable using that bot and you can copy that bot, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, it's making you money. You should do it. But at the same time, if you're thinking there's other things going on that is skewing the data to look like 100%, well, that's where it's important to take it from the spreadsheet, copy that address, enter it into the bot, see what flags it's coming up with, see what information you can see. You can see the average buy hold time. You can start looking through the trades. All these tools and skills and stuff that I've been going through over these past voice chats, you need to utilize in everything that you do when you're picking someone to put into place for copy trade.
okay. Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Good stuff. I mean, where are we going into now? We've been doing voice calls now for about 9 days straight. Haven't missed a day. We've covered so much information. Like I said,
Sorry. I think
Go
my
ahead.
mic was turned off. I was trying to ask a question.
Go ahead, man.
So on the profitable wallets, when you see the flags and there's like the different percentages, would you like add those up for the total percentage, or is like the highest one?
No, you can't even do that because a lot of these things, a lot of these flags affect the other flags, right? Like if
Yeah.
he didn't buy tokens, of course, he's going to sell first. So if you added those up to a total flag, they're kind of within each other. You know what I mean? Like they play
Yeah,
off of
that's
each
what I was wondering when it was like all the flags are like 33% or 11%.
Yeah, so you have to be able to kind of look at those flags and look at the data set and look at the percentage that flag actually takes and just make sense of it that way. You know what I mean? Like you'll get used to seeing it. If you see like, you got a guy with really high win rate, say he's like at a 79% win rate, but like he has a 14% flag, then he has a 7% flag and whatever. And you're like, okay, relatively I know this is kind of going to skew his win rate, but he's already at a 79. Let's say it drops him to around a 75 or 74. That's still someone I'd want to follow regardless of the flags. So you got to kind of use like the information provided there versus the rest of the statistics that's provided by the remaining information.
All right, thanks.
No problem. But yeah, like I was saying in conclusion, I mean, if anyone has any questions, feel free to cut me off again. I can continue to go on my speech. But I mean, we're at 9 days of doing the voice calls since I've been brought on. We started off really basic, me pretty much starting in terms of what I would like to achieve with you guys. And at the end of the day, my goal from the start is to make you guys better copy traders, where you guys look at this information that is available and the places you can gather information, and it doesn't feel so big. It doesn't feel like it's something that's so hard to conquer. But going over some of these voice calls and going over some of the data and then opening up the charts and going over that repetitiveness time after time again, I hope you guys can see that how big copy trading seems, it's very, very small in essence, because if we can go through it in, just about a week's time, and I can share with you most of the things that you have to learn. Of course, there's going to be some intricacies, smaller things that come up that are going to affect it, but we can now have a good sense of what we're looking at, the data we're looking at, how to make sense of it, when we're going to add traders, when it doesn't make sense to, how to monitor them, all this stuff. Now you guys should be at a place, if you've been attending or following along and listening to the voice calls, that you feel very confident in. When you put a trader on, it's going to perform likely well for you. And if it doesn't, you're going to catch it slipping pretty quick and you're going to remove it and be able to replace it with another one. And in the beginning, it seems so hard just to get one good wallet. But like by now, you should be finding wallets. If you're spending 2 hours looking, within that 2 hours, you should find between 1 and 3, even more wallets, depending on how efficient you've got at it. But I hope that these voice calls are beneficial for you guys, because obviously, it's a lot of my time to come in and do them every day, spending the 2-3 hours that we go over them. But as long as you guys find that you guys are getting good takeaways from these voice calls, then it's a good use of my time and it's a good use of your time attending them.
Yeah, that's been great, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, man, they're great. Thank you. Very helpful. I think it's a lot of information, especially recommend listening to these as well, because sometimes you miss stuff. So.
Yeah, and I did want to mention that now we actually are just going to post the voice calls just to YouTube. So there's going to be a YouTube playlist, and it's going to have the first voice call with a description, second voice call again with a description. So all voice calls will have a description. So if there's a topic you see there that you kind of wanted to go over in depth, I talked about that particular topic in that voice call, that's going to be posted to YouTube, and that's where they're going to be going from now on. It's easier for the whole team to be able to track, the statistics, if we're able to see the numbers of people actually viewing the voice calls and making use out of it, right? Like, I want you guys to make use out of it. If you have to go on like, a car drive for a while and you're like, man, I could just listen to music and just bop out, but instead, like, I want to sharpen my copy trade skills. I'm going to throw on one of these voice chats and I'm going to listen to it on this drive. So when I'm done this drive, I'm more knowledgeable than I was before when I hopped in the car. I want them to be that valuable for you guys that you go reach for them to listen to when you have some free time. So hopefully they continue to scale up and get better as I get more used to doing things like sharing my screen, which I never did before earlier last week. And hopefully you guys continue to get a lot out of these. But I appreciate you guys all who show up here. It's, the middle of the day for me. We have 13 participants at the very end of the voice call still here. So I appreciate you guys all being here. And one last time for questions, and if not, I'm going to cut it off, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Well, good, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, I'll see you
Thanks,
guys
mate.
tomorrow.
Excuse me, I would like
Thank
to
you.
ask a question.
Bye.
Okay, go for it.
Right.
Yeah, the interesting snipes. Are you guys
Yeah.
planning to launch more on the group?
There will be. They come through as they come through, right? Because the idea of those is to put through something that hopefully is going to be profitable. The more likelihood of it being profitable, the better it is, and the more likelihood it has of getting pushed through. But I don't think Surge wants to filter that with a bunch of like just crappy snipes. So people have snipes every couple hours.
Yeah. So it's for now it's gonna be like 1 or 2 for a day.
It'll be exactly how much is coming out, my friend. Yeah. And the thing is, it may be more on some days and it may be less. But yeah, it's just to try to keep the quality up. Less is better sometimes.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right. I am going to shut down base here. You guys know I'm always accessible in my DMs if you have a question. It takes me sometimes a little bit to get back to DMs, but I always do. If I miss it for whatever reason, just DM me again. It's not going to bother me any. But thank you guys again, and I will see you at the next one.